Well, interesting enough, I'm not a great proponent of hope. I'm a proponent of love. Hope always comes with its consort, despair, because the world is not a place where we have wins all the time. We go through a cycle of wins and losses on this journey to make the world a better place. Only love provides us the energy and the framework to make meaningful change. And so love and compassion has the efficacy to make the real meaningful change back to the wild. So that gave a unique advantage that we had at the time to get these orangutans back to the wild. And for the first time often see the true magnificence of these animals. Because unfortunately, even though we may love and care about our orangutans in zoos, they're in the end, they're an ugly caricature of the magnificence and the beauty of what they are in the wild. As an analogy, it's a bit like going to America and seeing people only in prisons, and then forming an opinion of Americans based on you only seeing them in prisons. Even though, yes, they are Americans, but you don't really understand the magnificence.
Welcome to the Better Life for Animals podcast, where we amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. Through powerful stories and expert insights, we shine a light on the efforts to rescue, protect, and advocate for animals. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. Every follower helps us reach more people. And support animal sanctuaries. Enjoy the conversation.
Today's guest is Leif Cocks, a globally respected conservationist, author, and founder of the Orangutan Project, who has dedicated more than 3 decades to protecting orangutans and their rainforest homes. He has led pioneering efforts in habitat protection, wildlife rehabilitation, and the reintroduction of captive-born orangutans back into the wild, while advocating for truly ethical, sanctuary-based models that prioritize animals' interests over human exploitation. Through his work, Leif powerfully connects the survival of wildlife with the survival of our own species, reminding us that when we destroy forests and other beings, we ultimately destroy the foundation of a livable planet. On Better Life for Animals, we're honored to dive into his vision for a kinder, more compassionate world, and to explore why giving wildlife genuine sanctuary may be the only real hope for the future. Leif, welcome to the podcast. It's such an honor to have you.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here.
Can you walk us through your early career at the zoo and how it led to founding the Orangutan Project?
Mm-hmm. Well, I started working with 15 orangutans, and I had the wonderful opportunity of given no training or insight to them, and basically just given a diet sheet and told how to open the slides. And so what I discovered, unlike in other zoos, I didn't necessarily consider them dangerous and behind bars. And so I just went in with them, had my lunch with them, and became friends with them. And I quickly discovered that they weren't animals at all, but self-aware persons. In fact, the most intelligent beings that share our planet. And then, of course, obviously, the next conclusion is they certainly don't belong in captivity. And so I started taking the orangutans and bringing them back to the wild. But also during this time, over 1 million orangutans have been slaughtered as their habitat has been destroyed by big multinational companies. And so I started the Orangutan Project in the hope to secure large viable ecosystems where orangutans could survive, and also rescue and provide safety and an opportunity to be wild again for the orangutans being killed and displaced by the conversion of the rainforest to unsustainable monocultures such as pulp paper and palm oil.
It sounds like quite an undertaking. What was involved in overseeing the first successful reintroduction of a zoo-born orangutan? I'm thinking of like Tamara into Bukit Tikaboo National Park. if I said that right.
Yeah, Bukit Tigapulu, which literally just means dirty hills
Oh,
in Indonesian. And yes, I mean, I had also, because I was with the orangutans at their birth and knew the mother very well,
yeah.
and therefore it was easy to provide them that support and friendship for the transition from captivity to the wild and see them on a journey back to the wild. But the additional aspect to it is one of the big issues for humans for success, as well as orangutans, is mental health. And the fact they were naturally raised by their mothers and given love and support also provided them the mental framework that allowed them to learn and adapt to the new environment.
How does the Orangutan Project support habitat protection, rehabilitation, and community education in Borneo and Sumatra?
Mm-hmm. The key to conservation has always been habitat. And so we just have this window of opportunity to say a rainforest the right type, shape, and size. And all those three attributes really does matter, because small patches of rainforest are not ecologically sustainable and will eventually ecologically collapse, as well as not being large enough to support viable populations of wildlife such as orangutans. And also that orangutans being a lowland species, most of the habitat has already been logged and is not protected. This is why 80% of orangutans live in unprotected habitat in degraded forests. So piecing the forest of the right type, shape, and size before it's too late is critically important, not only to have ecosystems that will not collapse over time, but to support viable populations. So we have a window of opportunity now to do that, and that's the main goal, as well as obviously working with the local communities for win-win solutions.
Tell us about the International Elephant Project and the International Tiger Project, and how do they address human-wildlife conflicts to these species?
Mm-hmm. Well, when we started the Orangutan Project, there was always going to be the umbrella species for which all other biodiversity and wildlife and people come along for a free ride. But what we discovered, there were three species being left out of that umbrella: elephants, tigers, and people. And so we started the International Elephant Project, International Tiger Project, and Foster People to bring all living beings under the umbrella of a holistic conservation. In particular, what we were discovering is as the big multinationals were taking the land of the local communities and the elephants were literally killing each other trying to survive in the rainforest. So we had to prevent human-elephant conflict, to prevent deaths on both sides. But also what was very clear, unlike orangutan, where we still have the opportunity to save viable populations, the opportunity to save any viable population of elephants in Sumatra is completely gone and will never come back, not even our grandchildren's lifetime. So we have, as with tigers, we have the strategy of conserving 120 to 150 elephants in individual ecosystems, and then the dispersing bulls are literally put on the back of trucks and transferred to the next ecosystem to manage genetically a metapopulation to ensure the species will survive. And so that's kind of an additional thing we need to do in order to ensure we can save all the biodiversity.
Through Wildlife Asia and your advisory roles, what strategies have you used to protect rainforests like those in the Leuser ecosystem?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the Lufa ecosystem is a really good example. In the middle, in the hills, there's a national park, which actually from a conservationist point is not very interesting at all. What we're trying to do is secure the unprotected lowland forests in the northeast and the southwest. We're calling these megafauna sanctuaries the last opportunity to save elephants, orangutans, and rhinos in viable populations. So what we're doing is we're purchasing, leasing, and helping with our partners manage land to form large enough ecosystems of the critical lowland forests, because orangutans, tigers, and elephants can't survive in the hills where the primary protected forest is. We have to conserve the lowland forest, which has almost certainly been logged and degraded. And so that's our main strategy in a loose ecosystem.
You're listening to Better Life for Animals podcast. Our mission is to amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. First of all, go ahead and subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching or listening. And then get involved by visiting betterlifeforanimals.com. That's betterlifeforanimals.com. Be sure to check out our blog, learn more about incredible sanctuaries, and explore our book section, where 100% of net proceeds from book sales are donated to sanctuaries. Every action you take helps to make a difference. And remember, subscribe to this channel. And now, back to the show.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Leif Cocks, and this is Better Life for Animals. Leif, what do humans need to understand about how palm oil plantations and pulp paper production are driving orangutan to extinction?
Mm-hmm. The main thing we have to understand is these monocultures, by their very nature, are unsustainable. That's just not in Indonesia, but in America also. Monoculture farms destroy the environment for which they are grown. And so we have to transfer our agricultural systems to multi-polycultures. And for our example, working with indigenous communities to create economic affluence under the rainforest canopy. And so these are exploitative activities which take the profits from the many who have been supported by the rainforest to the few, from the long term, i.e. sustainable, to the short term, so a few greedy people can get rich quickly. And unfortunately, they are doing this on the industrial scale. So it's mind-boggling how quickly they have pulped most of Sumatra and Kalimantan in Indonesia. And unfortunately, we're now getting stupid upon stupid, where they're destroying beautiful rainforests for low-grade coal. So we're not only getting the drivers of climate change from the destruction of rainforest itself, they're digging up the coal from under the rainforest and burning that, driving climate change even further along its route to destruction.
It's just tragic. Why is providing wildlife sanctuaries free from human exploitation the only viable path to saving critically endangered species like Sumatran elephants and tigers?
As somebody who worked in the zoo industry, and my last job was a small population biologist, I can tell you that the myth that zoos can save any megafauna is not true. All zoo population and megafauna are unsustainable. They can't save themselves, neither them save the species if they went extinct in the wild. So it may be difficult to save orangutans, tigers, and elephants in the wild. It's impossible to save them in captivity. So these last viable ecosystems of the right type, shape, and size of the rainforest that we're protecting are the true biodiversity arcs that will not only allow these species to survive the extinction crisis, but provide the biological resources required to rewild the planet in order to give ourselves the best shot of mitigating the worst of climate change.
What essential truths about biodiversity loss should humans grasp to see that wildlife protection is key to our own survival?
With all things, win-win solutions is the only way. All win-lose solutions are only short-term gains, which will only leave two losers in the end. And so unless we have the compassion and foresight to save the lungs of the planet, the rainforest, and the biodiversity and living beings and persons, orangutans and humans that share the forest, we will be destroying our own future. And so the trick is to to have that insight and not fall for the interesting mistruths that we can exploit others and in the long term get away with it.
Very well said. You've advocated rewilding significant portions of the planet. How would protected sanctuaries stabilize climate and prevent ecosystem collapse for all of us?
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, one of the problems we're seeing now is the feedback loops. Destruction of rainforest is one of the major drivers of climate change, and climate change is causing more droughts, more fires in the rainforest ecosystem, and many coastal rainforests will now go under the water as we lose the battle to stop water rising from climate change. And so what we need to do is not only secure these ecosystems at the right size so they don't collapse, but also create the biological resource to rewild about 25% of the planet in order to, along with all of the other necessary actions like stopping of burning fossil fuels, rewilding about 25% of the planet will give our grandchildren the opportunity to mitigate the worst effects of climate change.
What role can everyday people play in supporting sanctuary-based conservation to counter poaching and habitat conversion?
Well, it'd be wonderful for people to join us on this journey, and they can go to the Orangutan Project, or oneword.org, and there you can sponsor some rainforests and watch on Google Earth as you protect it. You can adopt an orangutan and follow its journey from rescue, rehabilitation to be free again in the wild. And so whether you are most connected with individual orangutan or saving complete viable ecosystems, we can all join together to make this world a better place, not only for orangutans in local communities, but the whole planet. And that's a wonderful way to empower ourselves in a world which sometimes seems increasingly desperate.
I think that's a really good place to end. I would like to talk about looking ahead, but I think that's what you've just said, that we have to put this front and center in order to have any chance as we watch things just fall apart around us before our very eyes. Before we go, are there any final words that you'd like to leave us with, Leif? This has been such a valuable conversation.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't really have much more to add other than letting everyone know that love and compassion for living beings is a wise decision. And there's great wisdom in love and compassion, and far from the truth of the belief that ruthless indifference has any efficacy in this planet.
Beautifully put. This has been Leif Cocks, and I have really enjoyed talking with you. Thank you so much for being on our show today. If you have enjoyed this conversation as I have, please like and subscribe so that we can create a better life for animals.
Thank you for joining us on the Better Life for Animals podcast. Together, we can create a world where all beings are treated with dignity, respect, and care. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. It helps us reach more people and spread awareness about the incredible work happening in animal sanctuaries. You can also share this episode with friends and fellow advocates to keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep speaking up, taking action, and making a difference for the animals.